Welcome back to the channel, guys. This video is going to be strictly about boost. Now previously, I have the most updated tune on this vehicle. This is the second tune now that I've installed on it after I got my new exhaust. And basically, long story short, is this car, I'm in it right now. Here's my boost gauge. I did quite a few pulls on it, and even looking back at my footage from before the tune, before I even had any tunes on this car, seeing what the boost was hitting, and then after how much boost this was hitting at each pretty much level and stage. Pretty much this car was maxing out at around 20 pounds. I'm not really seeing much more than that, hardly ever. And I've been keeping an eye on it pretty closely. Now, I looked into this quite a bit because it was really bothering me because it seemed low. If you have a stock Dodge Dart, most of those are going to be hitting anywhere from 18 to 20 pounds of boost, and that's per the forums. And when I looked at the forums and also what other people's Fiat Abarths and Spiders were hitting with the Phase 2 tune, it was more so even like, it was like mid 20 pounds of boost, which we are not seeing that on this car, or even close to that. We're hardly even hitting 20 pounds of boost. Now that's a significant difference there, because we're talking about a couple pounds. Now I just reached out to Euro Compulsion, and they even mentioned that with a Phase 2 tune that I have received, I should be seeing around 24 to 25 pounds of boost. And that is what we're gonna dive into today. And I'm missing out on quite a bit of power if that's the case, because 4 to 5 pounds of boost, that's like the difference between this car being tuned and not tuned. That's a huge difference. We're gonna look into it and see if we can, I kind of have an idea of what I think it is. But let me just, before we go into any fixes or repairs or making any adjustments, I'll just show you real quick what this car is doing. We'll just do a couple more quick pulls in this car, and we'll keep a close eye on this gauge to see what it's doing to like. Alright, well, I don't know if that was too effective because that was spinning the tires. It is a little bit wet outside, which doesn't really help the matters. And these tires do not want to stick in any type of road that is not completely dry. Give this another try here. Same thing again. So we're fourth gear. Just from kind of briefly glancing at that while I'm trying to drive here, that was right around 20 pounds, 19-20, which is what I've been saying pretty much that this has been hitting. That's not where we should be. We should be a lot more than that. We'll give it another go here in a couple other gears and see what it's doing again, but I mean, it's hit 19 to 20 pretty much every time. Let's get this hood popped here and I'll show you what we're going to be doing. Now with this hood popped on the car, what we're going to be doing is adjusting the wastegate actuator on this car. Now if you look up adjusting the wastegate actuator on any one of these Dodge Darts, or same thing, just this 1.4 motor, you can find tons of videos on people that do this. A lot of people do this mod just on these cars bone stock. It can increase the boost of it, and it's just a quick and easy mod to do. It's free, doesn't cost anything. I do need to pull off this top cover piece right here and also pulled back this turbo blanket, but I believe I thought I'd made a video previously on adjusting this, because I did it first thing before I even started driving the car. I set it to a preset, which I'll kind of explain the presets once I get this stuff torn apart a little bit more. But I thought I'd set it to about 6 millimeters, which is what a lot of people set theirs to. It's just a good kind of middle ground if you're not quite sure where to set your turbo preset on these cars. Now with this cover piece pretty much off, or the two cover pieces off, I can just fold this back. I don't need to take this all the way off. But this is the little rod right here that I'm talking about that needs to be adjusted. you can see it goes right on right here. Now there's a very small little clip right here on the edge of this that needs to come off in order for you to pull this rod off of that little piece right there. That's what I'm working on right now. You want to take a very small flathead, get it in here, start to pry this up. I kind of have it started a little bit, and then you'll take a set of needle nose pliers, get on here, and make sure you can bite onto the top of this clip in order to pull this off. You do not want to lose this clip. It is very easy for this to fall down in there or for it to go flying somewhere, and if you lose that, you're kind of screwed because that's what holds this rod on here. I'm going to be super careful, and we're going to get that piece off, and then I'll show you and explain the adjustments here for this rod we're going to be working on. That clip is now off. This is what that little guy looks like right here. Very small and easy to lose. What I have right now is just a wrench on top of that nut right there. We're just going to break this loose. So in order to break this loose, you're going to go back towards the engine bay. So it'll be back that way. Should be pretty much broken loose by now. Yep, and then we'll just unthread it just like so. Now what we're going to do is get this piece. This piece needs to get pushed back so that way we can get it off of that rod right there. Just pop this piece off. Just like so. So now this is pretty much free floating per se. There we go. Get that all the way off. Now we can play with the adjustments and do whatever we want with this rod, so I'll explain that now. First thing that we're going to do is zero this rod out. What that means is we're going to loosen this rod and twist it as many times counterclockwise as it needs in order for it to fall directly on this little rod that we had right here. Before it had tension, that's why I had to pull it off with the screwdriver and pry that off, and then this rod pulled right back. So now we're going to just loosen it until it falls naturally on this rod right here, and I'll show you what that looks like. And it just falls right on top of it without any tension or any pulling of this or anything. It just goes right on top. This is the 0 point on your car, and this is the start for setting the preset. Most people set theirs anywhere from 4 to 6 is going to be pretty common for stock cars. As I'd mentioned, I swear that I had this set to about 6 millimeters of preload. I'm going to go more than that because I want to be pushing more boost. I'm right now way under what I should be. I think I'm going to start off with, let's start off with 8. It might be higher than what I need. I can come back and adjust this. That's probably what I'm going to do. But now I will explain just the process real quick for how to set this to 8 millimeters of preload. We'll take this off of here. We're going to be tightening this, so that means we're going to be turning this to the right instead of counterclockwise, so that way it'll suck it back in. And then once this is all the way set, what we will have to do is manually pull this, and it should have quite a bit of tension on here in order to set it back on that. So it's not going to slide on easily like it is right now. 8 millimeters of preload means that this is going to be 8 full turns. This is going to be half a turn. So that right there was 1 turn. So that's 1 millimeter. I'll just continue on and follow through all the way to 8. I'll take a pair of pliers, set it back here, and we're gonna pull this, reef on it, and make sure that we get it over that slot, and then we'll go ahead and put our little key piece back in there. Hopefully this will make a difference. We're gonna take this for a quick test drive after this, just to see if it did anything. If this did not do anything, then the only other thing I can think of is that we're gonna have a boost leak somewhere. See what it hits. Now, I played around with this wastegate actuator, and we just saw from the couple pulls we did, bumping that up to the 8 millimeter preset did not make much of a difference. I did a little bit more research after that, and what I'm going to do is we're going to be doing a leak down test on this. So we will be checking to see if there are any leaks in any of the intercooler piping, or if there's anything that should not, basically just if there's any leaks anywhere within the intercooling system. All these hoses did appear to be pretty tight, and I'm fairly confident that that isn't really the issue. It is possible that the diverter valve itself could be leaking. That's one of the things to look out for. But basically what I have to do this is I just went to the hardware store and picked up a couple things. You're going to need one of these silicone hoses right here. It already comes with the clamps on it. This is the 2 inch by 2 inch size right there. That should work just fine. I think this is 2.5 inches for the turbo inlet or outlet right here, but this will stretch over it. We'll make that fit. And then you also need an end cap made out of PVC. This will just fit right in here nice and perfectly. And then you're also going to need one of these air compressor fittings right here, and then also just a little bit of sealant so that way that this little fitting here doesn't leak. What I'm going to do is we're just going to drill out a pretty small hole in here so that way we can fit this in. I have the drill bit set up here and ready to go with just one of these step up bits. We're going to drill it out just a little bit smaller than the size of this, and then we'll take this and just screw it right in with some of the sealant here. This piece is screwed in. I didn't screw it in all the way, I just didn't really see a reason to. Make sure that this is tight and it should have resistance when you do screw it in. I'm just gonna kind of wait for that RTV sealant on here to dry. And once that's done, we should be good to try this out. And it ideally will have an airtight seal. We're gonna start removing our intake arm over here. So we'll need to get a couple of these hoses off here. Looks like we got 3 hoses, and then just disconnect it right here from that outlet. Intake is off the car. We have our new piece installed right here. This size over here was actually a little bit big for this turbo, this 2 inch. It seemed like it was almost more like 1.5 inches, really. Would have probably fit a little bit better, but we still have this on here. I snugged it up. Hopefully this side did seal and is okay. This side went on fine. All the hoses are off. These couple of hoses, the bigger ones here on top, I did put screws or bolts in these, both of them. I don't know if these actually need to be capped or not. I'm not sure. Seems like they would, since they are kind of part of the intake system. And the 2 smaller hoses down here, these just go to this, which I don't believe need to be capped or anything. These are the smaller hoses. I think those will just be fine as is. And I have my air compressor set up here. We have air in this. I have the gauge with the correct fitting in order to just slip right on top of this. So we're gonna pop this on and just slowly kind of read the gauge and introduce some air into the system. Press on a little bit. And I can hear some air escaping. I actually think it's coming right off of where I mentioned right here, because the size was incorrect. Pretty sure that's what it's from. Yeah, you can hear it too. I don't know if the camera can pick it up. That noise that I thought, that hissing noise that I thought was coming from right here, where this clamp or this side is a little bit bigger on than this fit here. I thought it was originally coming from over in this area, and upon further inspection, all this hissing noise is actually coming from somewhere over here. The next step in this process, this air is actually releasing very quickly. It's not a subtle leak. Whatever leak this has right now, it's pretty significant. And also my gauge won't even pick up anything over here as far as pressure in this system. So what I have is just some soapy water, literally just some dish soap and some water. We're gonna spray this, or we're gonna put air in the system pretty quickly, and we're just gonna kind of start spraying down any of these hose connections in the area that we think it is. and any one of these connections is where it could be leaking from. Could be any of these intercooler hoses over here too as well, but something isn't right now, and we're just gonna start spraying stuff down, introduce some air, and what we're looking for, I'll show you once we find it, but you should see the soapy water kind of start to like bubble up and move where there's air coming out from that area. I think I may have ended up finding one of the leaks. It appears that it's going to be coming from kind of these two hoses back here where I have this teed in for my boost gauge. Looks like there was a little bit of air coming out here when I was spraying it. I'll see if I can kind of show you, or I'll spray some water on it, soapy water on it here first, this section here. And if we go to hit some air, so see that? You just saw kind of a bigger purge of that air coming out of there. And I also kind of felt it too. This to me just kind of feels like it's a little bit loose. We'll take this off of here, and I might actually need to add something to this barbed wire. I know this wasn't the best fit when I put it on, but I didn't think it'd cause a leak. So we'll see what we can do. We'll just disconnect these real quick, and hopefully that's kind of our leak right there. I'm glad at least that we did find something. There is something going on here, so we'll just try to get this taken care of, put it back on, and then try this test again and see if we're at least holding some air a little bit better. I'm just gonna snug these up real good this time, and then we'll go ahead and try this, add in some more air to the system here and see if this is still an issue here. And also, this one hose down here, this will have air coming out of it, so you will need to plug this. I've just been using kind of my finger, so just make sure that you have either something to plug this or keep an eye and hold this while you're doing this. But let's put some more air in here though. And you'll notice that gauge finally went up once I let off. The system is actually now holding pressure, which is a very good sign. I'm gonna put in about 20 pounds and we'll kind of listen. I do hear something coming from over here. Sounds like it could be, it's one of these hoses is what it sounds like. It's not anything significant though like it was over there. I don't see any bubbles coming out of that boost gauge, which is a really good sign. So I think that leak is taken care of. Now we're gonna try to address everything over here and make sure this whole side's good. I feel like everything is pretty decent where it stands. I didn't really notice any other significant vacuum leaks. I wasn't able to really cap these two hoses off that leaked over here, aside from just holding them with my hand and a bolt in the other one. They still both leaked, but there wasn't any other major leaks coming from any of the actual intercooler pipes, which are usually the biggest sources of leaks for this. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead, reinstall everything back in this car, throw this intake back on it, and then I'll have to try it out and see what we're gonna be hitting, see if it makes a difference. All right, let's give this a go. We're in third gear. We'll just hit it real quick and see what it goes to. Just by a quick glance, you could see on that boost gauge right there, looked like we were peaking at around 22 and it was kind of consistently staying right around 21. That is already a significant difference compared to what we've been seeing. Before we were seeing 20, 19. So we got like a bump up of about 2 pounds right there just in doing that. That is a significant difference. We're still not quite there to where we need to be. We're about 3 pounds off or so. Could be another smaller boost leak or something like that, but we're in the right direction. I think the boost leak test is actually a pretty good test, I would say, to make sure that you are actually making the boost that you need to be doing. I want to do it again and make sure everything is 100% sealed off. I know some of those lines, I kind of left them open and was just blocking them off with my hand or a bolt, which wasn't the best way to go about doing things. Try to come up with some new methods to block those off completely, because you want to make sure that absolutely nothing is leaking. We did quite a few boost runs in the car, kind of saw what it was hitting. Looked like right around 21, maybe a little bit more, depending on the gear or the RPM in it. Now, I did go back and performed another boost leak test on the car, very similarly to the way I did before. The only difference was I changed the size coupler that we were using. Before, I was using a 2" by a 2". I changed it up and went to a 1.5". This is a smaller size here that fits over the outlet of that turbo much better and definitely makes a nice tighter seal. And then I also did cap off the 2 hoses that you need to cap off. I can't remember which ones it was, but I capped those off a little bit better and used something to actually seal them off. I was able to get that little gauge that we were using, the tire pressure gauge, to hold boost. I tested it at both 20 and I think 25 pounds. It held pretty good, and I'm pretty confident that the boost leak test on this car kind of showed us where we had leaks, and I know now that we are all pretty much set and good to go. Our main leaks that we had were back here from this T-fitting, and I also did actually end up replacing these lines here with a little bit of a tighter fit. This was just a smaller diameter hose. Fits much better, and we're not leaking anything out of here now, so we're all set and good there. Now, I reached back out to Euro Compulsion, kind of told them what was going on and everything that I did and how I'm running a couple pounds. It's what seems like a couple pounds short of where I should be. And basically, they asked me to send over data logs or something for them to look at and kind of see what the car is doing. I'm not going to be doing any of that in this video. I'll probably look into doing some data logging and maybe go about that process and try to send some stuff over to them for them to look at and get back with me so we can try to figure out what's going on here. The car is still running great. It's running very well. So I'm going to pretty much leave this video at that. That's going to be a wrap for this one, and keep your eyes out for the future. Hopefully, I will be doing another video kind of continuing this one and seeing what the next steps in the process are going to be. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and comment. Also, if you do have a Dodge Dart that is tuned, whether it's Euro Compulsion or torque tune, throw down in the comments what you guys think might be the cause of this, or also what boost levels you guys are running and seeing with these tunes on your car. Thanks.